You guys have seen Monopoly. You've seen Life. You've seen Trouble. You've seen Sorry. But have you seen the biggest game that you've ever seen? There's no way you have. Mark Millar has given it to you. He's given you the big game.
Welcome to the Comixology Club. It's a podcast where I, Snoop Lynch, and my co-host Higgins Stern.
Hey, that's me.
He's right there. He did the thing earlier about big games and the game of Trouble in Life.
Yeah.
Tough games, those games.
Yeah, it's hard to roll the dice.
It's hard to roll anything, if you think about it.
Sometimes they don't make you do it.
And sometimes they do, but you're not ready for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do like Trouble, though. You just hit the little thing, and then it just pops it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my kind of board game. But Higgins, we can talk about board games another time. For now, we need to talk about who keeps the lights on in the studio where we're doing these things that we're doing.
Oh, it's our buddy Michael Lopez.
Damn right it is. That's
We're
right.
going to talk about him so many times during this episode, you guys aren't even going to know.
No, but we'll mostly do it right here.
Yeah.
Because we got other stuff to do. But yes, for right now, let's talk about Michael's business, 008 Studios, where he's the guy you would go to. You're like, I want to write a book, or I want to draw a thing, or I want to work on a visual game type situation, but I don't know. I don't have connections. I don't know how to get that funded. What do I do? I tell you what you do.
He has those connections.
You call
you
Michael.
talk to him.
Yeah.
You go to his email. You go to his... Does he have a phone number on there? I have no idea.
We have his phone number, but we worked very hard to get to that point. I'm not just going to give that out for any schmuck on the internet, okay?
I touched his arm.
Yeah.
For that.
Yeah.
Phone number.
I mean, you touched some other things too, but that was more for your pleasure than anything. But no, Michael's the guy you go to. He's doing things left and right. Like 5 books came out at the beginning of this year alone, Higgins.
Yeah, and we're going to probably read some of them.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. We are going to read some of them, and we're going to talk about them. But Michael and I are working on a little project for the next few podcasts where we're getting little interview snippets from the creators of said books.
They're going to shoot us some audio?
Someone shot me some audio the other day, actually.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, I know. I don't think they were married, though, so it's fine. I'm not the one touching married men's arms like you, okay?
All right.
I have some morals. But, no, so you mentioned him last month where, for a few days more, that's one of the projects that Michael helped produce.
He has a wife and a kid, so we're definitely touching some arms that have...
Well, all I'm saying is that was not mentioned in the audio that was shot to me. Anyway, though, actually, no, he did mention his kid, now that I think about it. But he seems like a nice guy. Anyway, so yes, the guy who wrote that, do you know his name?
ZB Steele.
ZB Steele, yes.
Is what he goes by as his thing. I'm not going to dox him.
Yeah, so the guy who wrote For a Few Days More, ZB Steele, he's the first one in the pipeline. He shot some audio to us, and we're going to play that, where he's going to explain why he wrote, what he likes about what he be writing, and other things. So just take a quick listen to that now.
Hey, I'm ZB Steele, author of For a Few Days More. For a Few Days More is a grimdark multi-POV novel inspired by Westerns, Quentin Tarantino, and Joe Abercrombie's Red Country. It's a novel that runs a bit on the shorter side with a heavy emphasis on dialogue and character building. Frequently violent, frequently graphic. I would say the hardest part about writing it was I had a daughter about 3 or 4 months into writing it, and as you can imagine, that took a little bit of focus away from the novel for a few months. I'd say the most enjoyable part was writing the dialogue, particularly in between Roth, one of the protagonists, and Teak, one of the side characters, as well as Cynthia's banter with one of the members of her party named Braxton, and any scene involving Red Cloak, the third POV, was a joy to write. Right now I'm working on 2 separate books. One is called A Fistful of Lives, the sequel to For a Few Days More, set 5 years after the events of the first novel, and another one tentatively titled Whispers of the Storm, sort of a Name of the Wind, Anthony Ryan-esque book where everything's already been done, and the protagonist is telling his story from his point of view about how it all went down.
I didn't hear it, but I hope it was good.
I think it's great. I'm
going to listen to the podcast when we release it, so it'll be fine.
Yeah. And the book's really good too, I imagine. And we'll know for sure.
Oh, it was great.
Okay, well, you know for sure. I will know for sure later down the road when we talk about that and review that on another platform that we'll maybe mention in this episode.
I can hand you the book. So you can read it before you get your version of the book.
Higgins, you know how I feel about people handing me things.
Okay.
I love it. Give it here.
All right.
No, but yes. So check out that book. Be on the listen and the lookout for other audio by other authors that Michael has worked with that shoot things to us. Maybe they're married, maybe they're not. It's not important.
There's lots
honestly.
of good things.
Yeah, lots of good things coming down the pipeline. And Michael is always working on something else. You go to his website. I'm going to leave a link for that in this podcast description. You can go there. You can order some merch. You can talk to him about working on a project of your own. He's a good guy to go to for all that. Like I said, five projects already out, ready to go from multiple people. How's he doing it? I don't know, but he does. So good resource, I think.
I definitely don't know.
Nope. But our job's not to know. Our job is to do this thing that we do, and we've done that. So good job to us.
Yeah.
Yeah. New Cat's doing his job, which is meowing in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was doing really good earlier, though.
Was he? Was he though?
He meowed a little bit. He got in the way. He was quiet for a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if that's his job, then he's doing great, quite
Yeah.
frankly. But we've got that covered. We've talked about the business. Now, let's talk about something else, but with someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to bring in a famous YouTube star person, celebrity person,
SoulStar Sketchin.
SoulStar Sketchin.
Our boy Rich.
Yeah. And we're going to do that in real time. It's not like we recorded it earlier, and I'm just using the magic of editing to splice that in. So
I don't know how that
like I said-
works.
No.
As
well,
far as I know, that we did this in a consecutive order.
Yeah, I mean, he's right outside the door right now, so we'll just go get him and bring him in here and set him up on a video call situation.
Yeah.
And yeah,
See you guys. Happy birthday, everybody. This is our 5th year. I'm glad we're back.
stronger than ever.
Stronger than ever. Snoop's here. We have a friend here. He came to join us. He didn't know he was going to come to join us on such a special occasion, but he's here.
And we wouldn't have it any other way, would we?
Yeah, and we're capping it off with a real big comic book to do it too.
It's a big event comic to celebrate our big event, which is the 5th year of our podcast, and we are celebrating it with someone. Higgins, can you tell everyone who's listening and maybe even watching who this is?
Yes, this is you guys might even know him. I don't know what you guys do in your spare time. His name's SoulStar Sketchin. He's a YouTube man, a freelance illustrator, and maybe a few other things. If you'd like to maybe give us a little, I don't know, mini plug about what you do in your spare time, I'm sure that's fine.
Yeah,
for us.
who is SoulStar Sketchin? Tell us that.
Okay, well, my name is actually Rich, but yeah, I go by Soul or SoulStar on my YouTube channel, SoulStar Sketchin, or I kind of renamed it to SoulStar Sketchin ART, but either one's correct. It's fine, no matter. You can find me either way.
Yeah.
Either one's correct. And yes, I do occasional comic book reviews. I mostly focus on the art part of it, though. Then I focus on the story, because writing is a big thing for me. Like, if you made a crap story, I'm going to say something. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going
Yeah.
to say something.
Art's probably the one thing we don't touch on enough, so it'll be pretty useful to add that to us.
Yes. And
Oh, yeah.
I've watched a few of your videos. I particularly am enjoying the Transformer comic reviews you've been doing lately. You put a lot more effort into your comic reviews than we probably do, and so it's fun to see someone just kind of not only go through the story itself, but also go through the art and like kind of. Higgins and I will talk
yeah.
about moments, but to actually add the visual element, I think my favorite thing you've gone over is again that Transformers comic and just all the badass moments that Optimus Prime has had in it so far. Like, I think there's a bit where he rips off his arm and then beats the shit out of someone with it. So,
I mean, it's just a damn good comic.
Yes.
It's just damn good.
it is damn good, and you do a damn good job reviewing it. So
Thank you.
and your art is really amazing as well. I'm going to I leave kind of just random links and description notes in our podcast episodes, so I'll leave a link to your site because you do commissions. Is that right?
Yes, I do.
Yes. So good stuff. Higgins, check that out.
I will check that
have the
out.
time.
Please.
I'll click the link in
Please,
our
please.
podcast.
Yeah.
Check it. I want people to check it out.
Good.
I do like I said, review for comics. I do review of movies. It has to be, as long as it's related to art in some way, even if it's related to a comic, then to art, then to other media. I'll review it. Whatever. I don't care. And I'm about to record, not today, probably a couple of days. I was gonna give my opinion on. I'm pretty sure everybody's heard about this one. Has Been Hotel, that became an official series on Amazon recently.
I've been seeing
I
it
heard
pop up
about that.
around. Yeah. The art looks really stellar in that.
Yeah, and I did a video probably almost a month now away where talked about I talked about the actual style of it because I figured out what she was doing was Busy Pop or Vivian. I figured out where art style came from, whatnot. It's like a mix of several things together, which I mean that's great. It's unconventional. I like that, and I drew out the most popular character, which is like Angel Dust, Charlie Moon's Morning Stars were her name, and Vaggie or Vaggie. I still not say her goddamn name. I'm sorry for anybody who's a fan of that. Just crucify me on that. And the video I plan to do next is related to that. Will be a full. I was planning to do like a full review of the series while drawing out characters that are significant to those episodes.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, no, that sounds like a really cool approach to a video. And honestly, the stuff you're talking about, I have questions for you going into today's book, which is a book
Sure.
that you you picked. Yeah.
Before you get started, let's say right now,
Okay.
you need to read like 20 goddamn books.
Yes.
But at the same time, you don't.
That's kind of my biggest compliment to the story that we're going to talk about today. So you picked Big Game, which is a book written by Mark Millar
Or Mark Millar.
Mark Millar. I feel like
You're right either way.
I settle on Mark Millar. I don't know why. Maybe
I
because
just
I
want
think
people to know that it has an A at the end of it.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Look, he's the Irish guy, okay?
Yeah.
So you need to know.
And we talked about Mark Millar's books before. I mean, some of the ones we talked about are connected to this story that we're going to talk about today. This is a big comic crossover event of all of his stuff, essentially. It's set in the... I know MillarWorld is his production company, but is this stuff...
It's the Millarverse.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Is this called the Millarverse, this continuity? Is that what
They call it MillarWorld. That's the official name they call it.
Okay.
I didn't even know it was actually all connected. I had no idea about that. I thought it was all like separate stories. No, they're all connected.
Well,
This whole time.
and I think that while it is connected now, I think that was not originally the case. This is all theory. I did some research kind of going. I did not read most of the books that tie into this crossover event. It's 5 issues, Big Game. It came out, I think it was like July of 2023 and finished in November of 2023.
Yep.
It apparently in 2014 is when these connections between all of his stories started to kind of come into play. I think with a Kick-Ass story, it's mentioned, some of the characters from Wanted, which Higgins and I have talked about twice because we got really drunk the first time we went over it. And
It was our one time that we had to re-record.
Yes, yeah, the only time in our professional career we've had to re-record. But it was a really good story and a really fun story, and one opened up that world at the time in a way I didn't expect. The only exposure I had to Wanted was the movie, which is way different.
A lot of people came from the movie.
Yeah, and so it was fun to see that kind of new element of a world of supervillains, but also there used to be superheroes, and then they got rid of them.
Get rid of them, yep.
And that comes back now in this full swing and connects all of his other MillarWorld stories like Kick-Ass and even Jupiter's Legacy, which Higgins and I have gone through some of. That is more loosely connected, but it's all connected. I think that he did a really good job bringing this all together when I don't think that was originally the plan. That is hard, I imagine, for a writer to pull off convincingly, and I think he does it here.
You can see, I've read 60-ish of like the 200 plus like issues that they said online that I needed to read, and like you can see it like all the way back in like Kick-Ass, where he's like they're like reading comics about superheroes. There's all stuff he left himself like a bunch of holes to connect this stuff later on. He connected them by not filling in too many details in any of his stories, kind of.
Yeah, he did. He left some holes on purpose. I could tell.
There's stuff in like, I don't know, Nemesis is one of the big books, and like he'll be in like New York City, and Jupiter's Legacy is like on like the New York Times, or like New York Square, Times Square, like what are the video billboards or something like that.
Yeah.
So he'll do stuff like that.
Yes, and I like the way, again, he was able to kind of retroactively bring it all together, where a lot of this stuff, he left vague openings or references to characters. Like Kick-Ass, for example, there was talk of like organizations, working in the shadows of villains and this and that. And you're like, that kind of sounds like Wanted. And
that was hinted pretty early in Kick-Ass. I know it was. Very, very early was hinted.
Yeah, and it was a cool way to leave the door open to bring these things together, but also he didn't ever have to. And even with the Jupiter's Legacy stuff, the way that he's able to kind of weave that in and connect that to everything else, where we know the story of Wanted, leading up to what we read is there was a world that had superheroes and supervillains, but the supervillains got together and they basically wiped everyone's memories of all of that from existence and ruled from the shadows. And so because it's just a memory wipe, I used to think it was reality, like they changed it itself, but apparently it's just a memory wipe.
I actually have
go ahead.
I actually got a theory on that, just based on what they're saying with that.
Yeah.
I think what they're really saying, especially to connect Jupiter's Legacy and Wanted, I think what they're really saying is those characters were there in that world already.
Mm-hmm.
They somehow just checked them out. You know what I mean? Straight up.
Yeah.
And it just got wiped.
I know specifically because I reread Wanted, and the Empire State Building's like constantly sending out a signal too that somehow like keeps people not remembering.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then there's like a whole bunch of other stuff. But I want to bring up
Men in Black them pretty hard.
Just a giant Men in Black like memory wipe stick.
Yeah.
The big question, the real thing that kicks this whole book off though, the big game one that we're talking about right now. I think the real reason that Wesley Gibson, Mr. Wanted himself, is so mad is it's because he's not Eminem anymore. I don't know if you noticed that, but like he's
not gonna say that. I knew it.
He was Eminem, and now he's
he
not.
Totally was Eminem.
He was totally Eminem.
He's Eminem.
Yeah.
And now, like in Big Game, I guess Mark Millar's like, I guess I just don't want him to be Eminem anymore, because he kind of made him into like the guy that plays Ra's al Ghul in the Batman Begins movie.
Oh yeah.
Liam Neeson.
Is that who it is? He kind of makes him Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
So, because it's the same guy, just older. That's all it is. He looks. By the way, he does look just like his father. He does.
Yeah.
Yes.
Straight up.
Yeah, and it's. I think one of the best parts of reading what I did read before I came to this was seeing a lot of these characters return and just kind of what they've been up to. I enjoy that while we didn't kind of see adventures of Wes Gibson and the Wanted characters doing things up to this point, they bring him back. It feels natural, and also they've been doing things clearly. Like he's just become the ruler of Earth, and
just the ruler straight up.
Yeah, and
he's the king. He's basically the king. Straight up.
And that in particular is a really, really cool thing to see. Knowing where that character started and Wanted, just seeing what he was, just kind of this guy who's fed up with his life and didn't want to do anything that he was doing, and then you go through the whole adventure of turning him into this badass supervillain, and he just kept doing that. But also, that is his biggest flaw, is his insecurities and his past. He can't get past it, and that's why he ends up losing in this story. I think it was just a really, really natural and great transformation of that character we knew.
Spoilers, by the way, every time we say that.
Oh no, we immediately, like from the top, we've said if you're listening to our podcast, you've read the comic. Yeah. Sorry, guys.
And we feel like all 34 people know that now.
With not spoilers right now.
Yes, spoilers right now. That is fair. You are a much kinder person than we are.
We're spoiling the shit out of this.
Yeah. No, we're spoiling roughly like 200 issues of comics. So what are you gonna do?
You might be. I didn't read that
many. I'm just like, look, man, there's a lot of shit here. We're going to spoil this. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
There was
I'm not going to go through all these, man. It's too much.
Yes, I mean, I've looked up the reading order, and it is dense. And I guess I got the same feeling that most people do when I tell them about Marvel and DC comics. It's like, yeah, if you just want to read this thing,
I feel the same way.
Yeah. But again, Higgins and I on the show, we talk a lot about what makes a good first volume, what makes a good comic. We haven't done an event comic before, but we've also talked, in our personal lives, what makes a good event comic. And for me, I think honestly what makes a good event comic is its accessibility. And that's a hard thing to do because your whole story is based around other characters from other stories and other comics. But not having read a lot of the MillarWorld stuff, I've read Wanted, I've read the first volume of Kick-Ass, and I've read all of Jupiter's Legacy. and that's it. I didn't even read Nemesis. I read about Nemesis because that was the only one I really had questions about because I knew that they rebooted it recently.
Well, honestly, when you think about it, Nemesis is about the same as Wanted. It's not that much different.
He's the
Just more edgelord.
He's
Yeah.
the basically Wesley Gibson's like version of his son. He's like him. He just turned him into himself. Basically, he was a guy that was put in a shitty situation, and then, or Nemesis was a kid that was born to drug dealers who was in a shitty situation, and then Wesley Gibson turned him into a super assassin, and and so basically he was like, I'm a little too old to do the dirty work now, so I'm gonna get this guy to do it.
Yeah.
I mean,
and he looks really cool doing it.
It was his position. Wouldn't you too? Shit,
Yeah.
He's got
do it. Like, fuck that. Let this guy do it.
Yeah.
He's got a full-on Moon Knight look where he's like constantly in white, and you're like, how's he not?
I mean, like I say, he's basically opposite Batman. Straight up, he's opposite Batman.
I think
outright.
I think when the original one came out, the premise or like the pitch to general audiences was, what if Joker became the Batman?
Yeah.
And that was the one, again, I didn't read a lot of these, but that was the one I at least made sure to kind of research because there are two versions of the story. One from way back when, which is, I think, just called Nemesis. That one is not tied into this because Nemesis Reloaded is a soft reboot where...
Right, soft reboot, yep.
And I think kind of going back to this idea of he retroactively wanted to connect all this stuff. The reason why he had to do just that one, like reboot just Nemesis, is because at the end of the original series, that character is killed. And also his reasons for doing it are a lot more sinister and selfish. I think with the original series, it's revealed that the guy who's Nemesis just was bored and rich and wanted to, fuck with people. Whereas, the backstory that Higgins just went into, that's the new kind of more sympathetic angle.
It's way better.
Yeah, and it is way better.
Yeah,
and also
it's much better written.
Yeah, and I think also too, Mark Millar realized how much people like that character.
Oh, he's so good.
And this is going to be the next step of this story. Big Game is kind of in a way works as like the Avengers Endgame end all be all. You can leave this world if you want, but he is continuing it this year with a new comic called Nemesis Rogues Gallery. And
something like that.
Which,
I read something about that.
Yeah, and the other big thing, and it's just more like a big kind of like company move kind of thing, is this was published by Image, Big Game, and a lot of the past Miller stuff. He's now moving it over to Dark Horse. I don't really know kind of what that means, but
it's all Dark Horse stuff now.
Yeah, but I like that he's continuing this and not even again going back to that idea of what makes a good event comic. That ease of accessibility, like, can I pick this up not having read most or potentially any of this and get something out of it? I think you can. I think that the way he writes this, while very exposition heavy, and it's like, oh, hey, look at this character, and oh, this character used to do this. While that is there, you do need it, but it's not done in a way that annoys me.
He is throwing a lot of words at you. I think I probably could have gotten away with just reading Wanted. I think I do need Wanted to like get this a little bit, but I think if just reading Wanted, you could probably like pick this up and be fine. I mean, like, there's probably a person out there that went out and saw just Avengers Endgame, not even watching the Infinity War.
A lot of
they
people.
They probably enjoyed the hell out of it. At the end of the day, it's just a bunch of.
I understand, but even though I look at posts and dude, I'd be like, bro, come on.
Oh yeah, it's not the way it should work. It's the way that
I know.
The good thing about this style of comic is at the end of the day, people like watching some good dudes fighting some bad dudes.
I mean, you can see
a lot of
fantastic artwork, by the way. Fantastic fucking artwork.
Yes, I think that there's a couple just standout panels in this that I don't know. I can remember them as vividly as when I read it. And I mean, the artist in all of these books has changed over time. Like, Mark Millar's the only constant in all of this stuff, that all these different stories.
Speaking of that, Jorge Jimenez.
Yes, that's who does the art on this one.
Yeah.
Yes. And color's also a good pairing with the person I'm not familiar with. I wrote his name down because I know even with that, I'm going to mispronounce it.
I got you.
It's Giovanna Nero is who did colors on this.
Oh, okay.
But
Oh wait,
Excellent
no.
touch, by the way.
Pepe
Really
Larraz was the artist on this one. Might
Bella
be.
Ross was the artist, yeah.
Oh,
So I want to talk about him for a second because
yes.
he's one of the newer. I'm impressed because he's one of the newer stars for comics in general.
Okay.
He started off in Marvel Comics, particularly on the X-Men. I never seen him on the X-Men. I was like, oh yeah, I remember this dude. He had pretty good art. And then later on, by the way, last year, in fact, I think he's doing this and Big Game same time. The Superman Batman comic on DC. By the way, holy shit, goddamn, this motherfucker know how to draw.
Yes.
No, he's doing some
God damn.
some real good comic book art.
Yeah.
There's the blackest blacks in the sides.
Mhm.
That's what I always talk about when I look at comic book art. They really know how to do a shadow on somebody.
Like he knows exactly how to sequence it in just the
Yeah.
right angle. I'm like, God damn, this motherfucker. No, you study, bro. You study. No shit.
He works really well for a book like this that has so many
Yes.
unique looking characters, and also they're all on the page at the same time. Like just a lot of beautiful splash pages of
No, you
of
know what I like
fights.
about his artwork the most is it looks like a good fusion between American comic and a manga. It's almost perfect fusion of it.
Yes, it definitely wears those influences on its sleeves 100%, and it's all the better for it, honestly. Like, and I mean, I love both sides of that stuff very much, so I'm easy to please with that kind of technique, but it does matter that he's good at it and he's great at it. And again, just the level of the level of detail he's able to put on each page, and with so many elements happening all at once, but you never really get lost in any of it. That's kind of, we've read comics in the past. One I think of off the top of my head is an older comic by Frank Miller called Ronin, and Higgins and I.
Yeah, I did read some Ronin. Yep. I
Yeah.
remember Ronin.
The biggest complaint I had about the art in that is I have no idea what I'm looking at. Unless it's just like
Yeah,
one or two
'cause
people. It's just, what is
That
all
was
this
like the time when Frank Miller's art started kind of like
going insane?
go a little sideways. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It went a little sideways.
Yeah.
Yes, but you don't have that here at all, and that again is just like insane considering all the characters that are on screen. I mean, even at minimum, there's probably 4 to 5 people on a panel, and they're all like their own costumes. Like none of them look generic. I mean, even with some of the most generic Mark Millar characters of my memory, all look unique with this guy's artwork. I'm thinking specifically about the character of Eggsy from Kingsman shows up in this. And
Eggsy was surprising me. I was like, oh shit, Eggsy, I remember you.
Yeah, I was like, I knew that it was part of this universe, but I did not expect to see him in like the superhero
I
thing.
actually forgot about it. I was like, oh shit, Eggsy. Oh shit.
I didn't expect to see him.
I read that comic. That was a good comic.
Yes, and I didn't expect to see him. I didn't expect him to look like Taron Egerton from
They
the movie.
literally
He looks just like him exactly,
Yeah,
by the
yeah.
way.
He
Exact,
nailed it.
Dead on.
Yes, and Dave Gibbons, I believe, did the first Kingsman story.
Yeah, he
and
did.
he's a great artist. He did Watchmen. That's his biggest thing, I would think. But it didn't really work for
I've actually
Kingsman.
talked to that guy one time. Dave Gibbons. I talked to him at least once.
You
that's
actually
really
spoke with him, really?
Yes, I really
Man.
did. Seriously.
Wow, nice.
I wish I could name drop like that.
Yeah, I can't.
The only thing I can say is I've
Yeah,
talked to SoulStar
I
Sketchin
was
now.
like, cause I did like it was an indie comic he was doing, and I did a few colors for just like a couple colors. Works for him.
Nice.
You like my
Nice.
colors a lot, man. I was pretty afraid like, oh shit, he likes my shit. Okay.
That's excellent. Wow, Higgins. I mean, I knew we had
Oh, good.
I knew we had a guy, but I didn't know we had a guy.
I didn't.
You know?
I didn't know we had the guy. You know, this is
The
big for
guy.
us. Yeah.
It was like one issue. That was it.
Hey, that is one more issue than Higgins and I will ever do. So
enough.
pat yourself on the back, please. It's just really good, and it carries like Mark Millar is obviously the driving force behind all of this. He wrote all these stories. He's got the idea, and he does a lot of good stuff with this. But really, really good artist to bring in on this, and one I didn't really know anything about. And while I do have my issues with the fact that Wes Gibson doesn't look like Eminem anymore.
It's probably for the best.
He's still looking pretty good. He's on up there in age, and he's clearly been doing some crunches and
I mean,
some
when you
pull-ups.
think about it, he probably does. It counts like M now because he's got a beard too. So.
Yeah, he does have
Yeah.
a beard, and like you got to think like he's probably like 60
Yeah,
ish.
I'd say about around 50, 60, something like that.
50,
Yeah.
60. So like Eminem might get the gray in there just in that right spot. He might get an Iron Man beard going eventually because that's
Yeah.
kind of what he's got going.
He's, he's in his sexy old man phase.
Yeah,
So it's
Silver Fox.
all right.
Halle Berry still looks like Halle Berry.
She looks, dude.
The Fox, she still looks the exact same. So
I imagine that when they were going through and redesigning some of these characters, they were just like, well, what do we do with the Halle Berry character? And it's like, Halle Berry hasn't changed. Why should this character change?
yeah, exactly.
Why should she like
Yeah,
Halle Berry's just she's eternal, man. I don't know. She
exactly.
barely ages.
If it's not broken, don't fix it. Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, she looks the same. Fuck it. Just keep it.
It's a really good pairing. Like I said, I've never really seen anything from this guy. I didn't even know about the work he's done with DC and Marvel, but you saying the books he's worked on, like X-Men and a Superman, Batman, of course he's a good fit
check
for
those
this.
out. Oh my
I will,
God,
yeah.
please check those out.
Yeah, it's so nice to see like talent come in and work on books like this, because we read a lot of superhero stuff, and on the art side, now Higgins and I aren't artists. We don't know. I mean, Higgins obviously knows about the Blackest Blacks and the shadows and the whatnot. But our knowledge of like technique and everything is pretty minimal.
Dead on. That's right. I agree.
Yes. But one thing we have noticed is when you read a lot of superhero stuff, you kind of just get that samey feeling with the art where it's like, oh, this is like a standard and it looks good, but there's nothing necessarily that makes it stand out from like another one.
Generic.
Yeah. I don't have that with this. I think this has enough of that.
No, this
look.
is action.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, that's what I noticed is like he's bringing together like 20 different things. It's like somehow he brings in the art style from all 20 things. It's like you see the character from the Ambassadors and they have their art style from their comic. He brings in all of these different things from like all these different comics, and they all look like themselves. Like Huck is like Huck is not a comic book.
He captured Huck perfectly, in my opinion. He captured Huck like perfect.
Yeah, it's like he's not like a normal comic booky design. He's more like what I would imagine like a 50s like comic book looks like, and he like somehow he puts that 50s style in for that character, but still throws him into the world that is like the nowadays version of like comics.
Yeah.
And
I would just say, so for those who don't know what Huck is, it's basically think Superman with Down syndrome. Think that, pretty much.
He's like he's like if Forrest Gump was Superman.
Like Forrest Gump's Superman.
They I think they specifically point out he has an IQ of 75 or something.
Yeah, so like he's not handy capable.
Yeah,
he's just not the smartest guy.
Yeah, and
he doesn't need to be smart. He doesn't need to.
He's just a good. He's just got a good heart.
He's a good guy. You can't hate him.
You know, the other tough part of writing a good event comic when you have this many different stories and this many different characters coming together is balance. And while that...
definitely, I agree.
While that might not be struck perfectly here, because there are so many to juggle, I think that a lot of characters get good moments that, again, I haven't read Huck, for example, but what you see him do is just like, oh, I actually kind of... That's the other thing about this, too, that works really well as an event comic, is it makes me want to go back and read certain stories about these characters to get more of them. Like, right. Huck is just... His thing in this is he's... Because the fraternity is the villain, the super society of villains. They're hunting down all the modern heroes because they're trying to keep superheroes from coming back. And they go after Huck, and they hit him with a nuclear bomb. Well, right before that, he's running in the Arctic. And it's like, why is this guy running in the Arctic? Like, well... He found this polar bear at the zoo and realized it was separated from its family. And so now he's just trying to return it. And there's just a line where it's like, can he do that? Like, yeah, apparently he can track down anything. And
he literally ran for 3 days straight, and he was like, I
don't know.
Yeah. He was like, the only reason he stopped is because he had to suck down a Dr. Pepper.
Yeah,
Dr. Pepper.
That's the only time. He's been running for 3 days.
Which is another Forrest Gump thing.
Yes.
It's just a Forrest Gump moment. It's just so like, hold on a second.
He's running and he's got to suck down a Dr. Pepper. That's just Forrest Gump, but a superhero.
And that's so little. Like, if you just reading that, it's so little context, but it is the perfect amount of context to make you go, I like what this guy's about, and he has a story of his own. I want to go check that out now because I want to see more of him.
Goddamn wholesome.
Yeah, and so again, while that balance might not be perfectly struck with all the characters he has to juggle in this story, I think he does a lot with it that makes me go, well, if I want more, it's already there, and I can't, like, one of my kind of, it's not a complaint, but it's like, I would have liked to have maybe gotten a little more, is the character of Superior, who...
Yeah, Superior.
Which is Mark Millar's Shazam, basically?
Slash, Superman kind of stand-in. Yeah, so I did research on that one as well, because again, in this story, all you see is this is set in the modern day. He used to have powers, now he doesn't, and the fraternity kills him just in case.
Well, you see
just in case.
You see his cape in that guy's.
Yeah.
Which that might have been another comic I read. You see a cape in this guy's like building, I think, which that might have been a Nemesis Reloaded.
Well, so the character of Superior in the MillarWorld, Millarverse situation is basically this kid made a deal with the devil to turn into his favorite superhero. So the character of Superior is a fictional superhero in the MillarWorld stuff.
Oh, okay.
And so he made a deal with the devil, became that guy, and he gets his soul back at the end of his story, but as a result loses his powers, and that's where we see him now. But they just go ahead and kill him. And again, going back to how beautiful,
they turn him into flowers.
Well, that's the thing. Going back to how beautiful the art is, that is the best panel in this entire story for me. Like,
I agree. I'm glad that's panel because I've never seen that. It's really good.
And there's nothing really explaining what that person did and why that happened. But you don't need it because the whole point of it is just the imagery, and it's beautiful.
That was the one part that I didn't know is I'm assuming it's like the Super Crooks or something like that, where that guy like can basically just what's her name in Invincible? He's Adam Eve. He can turn matter into different. He can turn matter into different matter.
Change matter and something else. Yeah.
Yeah, and then whatever the other girl is that like follows him around. She doesn't do anything. The other guy just.
He does all the work, pretty much.
Yeah.
He's got flower power,
she's kind of just the brains of the operation, is what it seems like. Those two scenes where they're in there, those are, like Snoop said, one of my favorites. Where he's, like, taking down the nightclub, which are, like, vampire superheroes.
Yeah, vampire kids, vampire teens.
And there's, like,
was one of the newer ones. I didn't even know it was even connected at all, yeah.
There was, like, a little, like, clip. He's got him stuck in, like, water. And he's like,
turns to holy water.
And he turns it into holy water. But then there's a scene like later down the road where he's like, they're talking about it in the car when.
Oh yeah,
which we haven't even talked about the twist yet. But they're talking about it, and it's like, what makes it holy water? Isn't it the same thing as water?
Yeah, it's just kind of like it has the same because the ability is he can change like the molecules in something like you're saying, but then later it's just like, is there anything actually molecularly different with holy water?
From water and holy water?
And it's like nah.
The answer is actually no.
yeah. So it's like, then why does it do anything? I don't know. It's just it's kind of that dumb.
Holy water is faith.
It's just water. It's just water. Like blessed by
so you have to like believe in it.
Yeah,
like, straight believe.
Yeah, I think, and also too, like this is very Mark Millar. Like a lot of the writing in this, it's just taking jabs at things. Like,
it's a lot of jabs.
He's not the bad guy of comics, but he's
show David Lewinsky. Oh my god, it takes so many jabs.
Yeah,
so many fucking jabs it takes.
He's not the bad guy of comics. He's just the adjacent to the bad guy of comics.
Well, as we all know, like, or at least as Higgins and I always talk about, the bad boy of comics is Grant Morrison.
Yeah,
just leather jackets all around for that guy. But Mark Millar has always kind of been the edgelord of modern comics, at least my impression of him, and that can work really well for a lot of things. I think if I had any critiques about the writing in this story, I think he's at his best when he's just sticking in the world that he's created. I think he's at his worst, I think he's at his worst when he's doing, social commentary on stuff happening in our world. Like, I don't think adding lines about Joe Biden doing this and that, I don't think it adds anything to this in any good way. No. I think it's just to spark some controversy.
That was him. I wouldn't even say the president's name. I would just say the president. That's all I would have said.
Exactly. And I mean, even his stuff that he's adapted or had adapted into films and TV, they're better for kind of being ambiguous. Like in Kingsman in the movie, there's you see the back of the president's head, and you're like, that's probably Obama. But we never just say it's Obama, and that's fine. It's just that's all you need.
I'm gonna jump in and I say hard disagree. That was like one of my favorite lines of the whole dang book is when they were like, Joe Biden asked us to be here on this battleship to hang out.
It's still funny. Don't get me wrong.
No, it was like one of the funniest lines in the whole thing.
It is fucking funny. I'm not gonna lie. It's kind of funny though.
I don't necessarily have anything against it. And that's not even the worst one in my opinion. Like the one that
Mm-hmm.
the one that I didn't really like is again, it's just like you don't really have a foot in this world, so why are you even kind of doing this? Because there's this other group of superheroes called the Ambassadors, and
Yeah, the
basically
ambassadors. Yeah.
one person is picked from each country, and they represent that country, and then they all come together to make their own Justice League. Well, they're getting ready to go do a mission because one of their guys has been kidnapped, and
Kidnapped,
Pakistan.
yeah, Pakistan has been kidnapped,
Pakistan.
and so I think Korea is the one who leads it,
South Korea
South
is the
Korea.
leader.
and
Chin Hu Chang. I can't.
She just has a really.
Chun Hee
Goddamn, I can barely pronounce
Chang.
the name.
I think it's Chun Hee
you
Chang.
gave it the old college try, and I appreciate that because now I don't have
There
to.
you go. We'll say that's correct. Why
Yes,
not?
we
We'll say
will.
that's
It might be
Yeah.
Chung.
If anything, your heart's in the right place, and that's what matters.
Exactly. We
But-
tried. We gave it the old try.
Exactly. And it's just like there's a line where I think the superhero Australia comes in, and it's just like, why are you sleeping with my secretaries? I thought you were gay or whatever. And it's like, no, I'm actually
Right.
pansexual, which means this. And it's just
Sexual.
like,
See, that's the thing that came up in the Ambassadors.
Ambassador.
I'll
Yeah,
tell-
we just joke about that too. It's
I'll
like,
tell
wait,
you,
if you're
he,
gay, like you be telling these chicks.
he was like making his claim to be the guy,
yeah.
and like his whole like political career, blah blah blah.
Hmm.
He was
Yeah.
like anti-gay, homophobic. His son's running, and he's also preaching the same stuff. And he was like, "That's just what they told me to say to get elected."
Yeah.
It's like that wasn't actually me. I've been sleeping with dudes this whole time, and every dunny and every like
Oh, yeah. Wow. They used Dunny.
they use dunny because he's
Great Australian
Yeah.
reference. Yeah.
And then at the end of the ambassador's book, he was like, "I actually just said that so they would pick me to be this ambassador's dude. I've been sleeping with women this whole time."
He's a guy whose entire career is built around his identity, but his identity is a lie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
Basically, it's totally a certain Orange Man reference right there.
He was
Yeah.
a 72-year-old dude that couldn't like move, and like he was like, "I need to be a
Yeah, he couldn't
superhero
move,
so I
that's the
can
only
live
thing.
forever."
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're.
So he lied his way into the
By
superhero
the way,
group.
I do like the Ambassador's power set. That actually is kind of clever. I do like the way they did that.
Oh yeah.
I was about to say the
do
same
like-
thing. Yeah. How their powers are artificially based and uploaded and downloaded from the
It's
internet.
literally uploaded.
Yeah. And it's literally seems to be anything like teleportation, sound waves.
They have a bank of 50
The only trick
powers.
is
They can only
one
take
ambassador cannot have the same as this next ambassador. They can't have the same powers. Only thing.
I
That's
see.
yeah, and
the
they
only
can
difference.
only
Okay.
have 3 at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah, 3 at the same time, something like that. You can't overdo it either. If you overdo it, it's gonna overload or something fucky happens.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. So and that's good because that like again building
It
a power
limits
set
them.
like that. You need to have those limitations, otherwise it's just like, well, they can do anything, and that's not interesting. And I also like how that can be their undoing. I mean, a big element and one of the issues in this is they get hacked, and so Nemesis steals their powers and murders them all. And I think like
They don't explain that at all, and I'm glad
They
they
don't
didn't.
explain it. It just happens.
It just happens, and
Yeah.
I'm glad they.
Happens.
I'm glad they didn't explain it.
yeah, and I mean again for someone who didn't read.
As fucked up as that scene was, like I did kind of laugh a little bit. I was like, "That's so ridiculous," but at the same time, it's kind of funny.
Yeah, and I think that's when Mark Millar's at his best is when he's silly. I think that creating his own world, kind of creating this power system, and then also creating a way that it can screw them over. He does over the top violence really well.
Yes, very over the top. Oh my god,
And it just
so much.
adds so much to the stories and the worlds that he's creating. It again, it's just a critique. I just don't love when he brings real world stuff into it, and I think it's mostly because with his writing style being so in your face, on the nose, I don't like that. If you're gonna kind of do political commentary, social commentary, any of that stuff in your comics, I appreciate subtlety. There's no
Me
subtlety.
too. I'm
Yeah.
more subtle area.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree.
But that's really like everything else about this I really really enjoy, and I think any kind of fan can. I think any casual Mark Millar fan can enjoy it. I think anyone just who knows enough about kind of the tropes of comics and crossover events, you know, they've read like
Yeah.
a Crisis on Infinite Earths or whatever, which
Which
they
they bring
mentioned.
up,
You
yeah.
Yeah.
entire life, you know what's going on.
Yeah.
You have an idea.
Yeah, like he's got a great handle on that. He has a great handle on what people like about superhero comics, and it's,
And while we're on this,
Yeah.
let's not forget the MVP of the whole damn comic. Let's just be honest about this one. Once again, motherfucking Hit Girl saves the day. Let's be honest.
She is.
Let's just be totally honest about that.
Yeah.
She's the MVP. She is.
The best character he made, basically, and she scares the shit out of me.
Yeah.
She can just do everything. Like I read a lot of those are one of the ones I got to. I got to Kick-Ass and Hit Girl, and I read a lot of those. And she is just like there's in Kick-Ass 3, she's in a prison. She got put to prison because she killed a bunch of people. And somehow she's running this prison from solitary confinement, and like she's talking to her like counselor, and he's like, You're 13 years old. Why do you have a half pint of like Jack Daniels and like smoking cigarettes? And then she's like, I'm gonna chop this guy's balls off because he's snorting too much cocaine and he's supposed to be working for me. And it's like how she's like, I know she's a good guy, but like how is she like so bad but so good at the same time?
I have a feeling she is totally Mark Millar's insert of what he wants women in comics to be.
I could see that. Yeah. And
I still feel that's exactly what it is. It's on purpose.
Yeah. And we haven't really even covered any of the Kick-Ass stuff, which is kind of, talking about required reading, I think that's the other big story to kind of dip into to get the most out of this. And I've read the first volume. I've seen the 2 movies or whatever. So I felt like I had enough to kind of really...
Yeah, you got enough right there.
Yeah.
That's enough.
If you watch the first movie, you know the character of Kick-Ass. Because you
definitely know him. Yeah,
I was texting with Snoop earlier a couple weeks ago or something like that. I just read Kick-Ass for the first time, and I was like, they literally frame for frame made the comic book into the first movie. It was there was literally nothing different than I could think of that they did, except Big Daddy didn't look like Nick Cage.
Yeah, exactly. He's Big Daddy.
Big Daddy is a Big Daddy.
Big Daddy fit his own name. He Big Daddy.
He Big Daddy.
Yeah.
Big Daddy. Okay.
I don't know who they would have.
No, know what? He's Thick Daddy. He's Thick Daddy.
I think they could have put like I don't know who could have been there. Maybe what's his name? The wrestler boy that did. God, what's his name? The guy that did
Batista?
That guy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Batista. Yeah.
He would have been a good Big Daddy, but he would have needed more hair and a beard.
They would have, if that was made, which I think they actually are remaking Kick-Ass now that I think about it, but he would be a good pick now. He wasn't in the zeitgeist back in the day, and I do actually really enjoy Nick Cage's portrayal of that character.
He does a really good job.
Basically just did it as like bootleg Batman. That fits perfectly. That's fine.
It is very much what if Nick Cage wanted to be Batman? It's very much that that approach, and it works well. The Kick-Ass stuff, again, being probably the second. Like the other most important story to read before you read this, that and Wanted, I think that makes the most sense given the message of what this is all about, which is just that classic good versus evil. And if Wanted is, the worst of the worst people doing the worst things, Kick-Ass represents the other side of that coin. And I didn't know this until they mention it in Big Game. Kick-Ass is the first modern superhero after the memory wipe. I didn't know about any of that.
Yeah, he's
that's the thing is, like, that's how they kind of tie him in.
Yeah.
Is that they have all these comic books and superhero movies because people remember it, but they don't know why they remember it.
Yes.
And he just reads the shit out of these comic books because he's the nerdist. He's the nerdist of the nerds. And so he's like, one day I just walk out on the street. And that's why it's like one of those...
It's a power fantasy. It is.
Yeah,
it's all power fantasy.
He wants to be those, but for the right reason. He wants to be that guy for the rightest of right reasons.
Yeah,
I'm sure somebody out there who actually literally thought to themselves, look at a superhero costume and say, "Fuck it, I can do it."
Yes, and I mean that is the core of that original story, and I think also too kind of how he's able to tie these stories together, having that superhero element of. Wanted is the story that kicked all this off because we find out there used to be superheroes in this world and now they're gone, but you still, because it's just a memory wipe, and I think that's probably one of the best messages of all of this stuff. Because it's just a memory wipe, people still have subconscious memories and inspirations from those old days, and that's why you get the creation of the fictional comics in this world like Jupiter's Legacy, which then inspires people like Kick-Ass in this real world again to start doing superhero stuff. And that is that classic tale of the villains kind of let that slide, And because of that, things built up. And when they tried to take
and they
care of
got
it,
control.
it's too late.
Mhm.
And Kick-Ass, again, gets this perfect moment, like full circle for all of his stuff, where
Yes, I love that. By the way, best moment in the whole comics. My favorite
I did
moment in the whole
too.
comics.
Yeah, basically, and the setup for it is even it works perfectly in this
Yes,
story.
it does.
Are you talking about him getting the na? Because I might want to. I feel like we need to do our drink break before we talk about the big final issue, like
Fair
stuff
enough.
that happens.
Fair enough.
Higgins, I'll let you do
'Cause the
that
first
because you're
four-
doing big hand gestures, and so
The
I want to
first
have
four
you have that.
issues are like a thing that we've been talking about, and then the fifth issue is like kind of its own thing.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking drink break, maybe talk about the reason we're all here together in the first place, and then we talk about like what it all got tied down to.
Yeah. I mean, just like the MillarWorld stuff, you want to like kind of set the groundwork, get people used to the characters that are all involved, and then we'll bring us all together for a big event. Yeah, no, that sounds great.
So we make a drink. We normally pick one. SoulStar here told us he's a big bourbon guy. Or bourbon whiskey guy.
I've been picking on all the whole time.
He likes his bourbon. He said he has Jim Beam right now. So I got us some Jim Beam, and you just have straight Jim Beam, I'm guessing. We went for I made us an old fashioned, which I don't know. Have we made one of those on the podcast before, Snoop?
I kind of like mixed mine a little bit. That's all I did.
Yeah.
No difference. It'll make a difference. It's the same shit. Come on.
Yeah. But
It's all the same stuff.
we made an old fashioned. We'll put a link to Jim Beam, I guess.
I mean,
Shout out to
I think
Jim Beam.
Shout out to Jim Beam.
they could use our
Yo,
help.
now
for
we
that.
get to-
Good in brand deals, Jim Beam.
Yeah, no, that's what we said. We said it 3 times. Now we get money. It's like he's
it's
been
the law,
listening to
yeah.
us this
That's how
whole
it
time.
works.
Yes.
That's totally how it works.
Yes,
Yep.
that's how it goes. But if we say it 3 more times in a row, then they get to
Actually, we
take it
get the
away.
money
So
back,
let's
so
be careful
we gotta
about
be
that.
careful.
But
Okay, fair. Jim Beam. No.
no. Yes, so we are drinking our Jim Beam we're drinking it in our Comixology Club glasses that Higgins got for us last year. Little gift.
Okay.
A little
So, yeah.
Christmas birthday present.
You being fancy now. Oh,
Very
you're
Yeah.
being
fancy.
fancy.
Well, we've even got this orange peel
You
in
being
here.
fancy.
We got an orange peel and a cherry in
Yeah.
there.
Courtesy
So,
of Higgins' girlfriend. She's in the other room.
Yeah.
New Cat's on top of
Oh, that's
my
what I heard
recorder.
earlier. Okay.
Yeah.
Have we ever... We talk about New Cat all the time. I'm going to show him off real quick. Come here, you little...
Oh yeah.
Go on,
Now
show
we
the
can
cat.
put him on the video.
Oh, my goodness. Here's
You might as well show him. There you go.
Podcast Cat.
He's got a
Aw.
collar and
Oh
a
my
bow.
God.
Oh, look at you. I want to pick you up.
All right,
I
New
won't
Cat.
pick you
Oh,
up.
He's done. All right.
Said he doesn't want any more.
But yeah, we're having some old fashions, Jim Beans all around. Good choice, by the way, Soul.
Some Blue Moons also.
Yeah, and it also it kind of helps us, get a little bit of those memories back from when we recorded Wanted, because we had some bourbon and things in that, and it's just
We
nice to
had
get the
Bull Bourbon
nostalgia
and
in there.
some bitters, something close to an old
Honestly, you kind of
fashioned.
need bourbon for that.
Yeah.
You kind of need it anyway.
And then we had a bad time after that recording. Initially,
I forgot we finished. That was how bad it was, SoulStar. I woke up the next morning and I was like, did we finish recording that podcast? And Snoop was like, we barely did.
we spent 2 hours talking about how cool Wesley's dad was in that opening scene. and I stand by that. He was very cool.
It was very cool.
But yeah,
He was a badass. not gonna
He was a
lie.
badass, and this is a badass drink. It's nothing. There's not much to it, is there? But it's just a classic
A little
feeling. we
sugar,
get.
a little bitters, a little bit of bourbon.
A lot of good times.
You know who's more badass? I don't want to toot his horn too much, but Michael Lopez, owner and founder of 0-0-8 Studios, 008 Studios, who brought us together in the first place.
That's true. Yeah.
I don't know how he found you, SoulStar Sketchin, but I'm glad he did.
Probably on Discord. I don't know.
Yeah. Cool. Well, do you have any other? Does anyone have any other things they'd like to talk about drink wise?
It was good. It was sharp. It was it's the end all be all. It could be mixed with anything, which works great for Avengers Endgame type book.
For Mark Millar's Endgame. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, at certain parts of the book, I'm gonna be honest, you have to turn your brain off a little bit. You kind of have to.
And that's
Just
okay.
be
yeah.
real honest about that. Just don't lie. Be real honest.
Yeah.
You
Well,
gotta turn your
it-
You gotta turn your brain off a little bit. Some plots.
absolutely. I mean, like this is very much like blockbuster popcorn movie
Yeah.
comics.
Oh yeah.
And that's nice every now and again. It's like you don't again like the reason it's a good event for me is because I was able to open it up, get something enjoyable out of it, and not need to know a ton. I could have gotten more out of it probably because a lot of it is that.
I mean, really, real honestly, you could have just read straight up Wanted and Kick Ass. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, and
straight up.
That is a good event comic because they're, I mean, 20 plus books. That's a tall order for anybody.
Yeah, that's tall. Like I said, no fucking way, Reno. No fucking way. Come on, man.
And again, like after now,
I didn't read Superior, but no, that's still no.
Yes, yeah. Well, and that's the thing is, after having read this, I am going to go back and read certain stories. Like I want to read Superior for sure. I want to read the Nemesis reboot. I think because he's kind of a big player in this.
That was a fun one.
Yeah.
Clearly, someone they want to continue these stories with is this character.
By the way, I forgot about Chrononauts. I forgot all about that. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
That's that's the time travel
right? Boys.
Yeah, time travel. All travel. Yep,
Edison
time travel,
Crane.
Is, by the way, plot heavy. By the way, near the end.
Yeah. Well,
very plot heavy by the end.
What I like, because we've seen so much time travel stuff. Seems like in more I think I've seen more time travel stuff in the last 10 years than what has been made.
In game. Once again.
and so you kind of have to add something to it to get me to care even a little bit. And I think the way that he did it with this is just kind of point out, yeah, time travel's dumb, isn't it? Because I think multiple times everyone's just like, we got to kill these guys. It's like, well, what's going to keep them from time traveling back? Oh, they have to type in the date. Like, it's just like that dumb thing of like, yeah, I guess they do have to type in the date. I never really thought about that, but that is enough. You got to type
in the date, don't you? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like, it's a dumb thing, but again, you're adding your own twist on time travel. Make it something not new necessarily, but make it something I find fun, and that's good enough for me. Just pointing out how dumb it is.
I might spoil this because it's pretty fucking funny moment. I laughed at this one. It's just kind of funny because it's a total joke on time travel tropes. It's like what is it when we see Hit Girl suddenly die and then she immediately comes right back. It's like, wait, what happened? Like,
oh yeah, she got her
time travel.
She got her head shot off, and then all of a sudden he's like, obviously she was with me 3 days later, so there's another one.
Yes, yeah, I didn't even think about that. Because the one that we see get killed is the one that was with Eggsy. And so, which is technically the past version. And so now that she's dead, there's no like paradox or like one doesn't have to kill the other. Yeah. So, and again, it's brought up in the context of the story. I don't remember who says it. Was like, yeah, how's she here? And then he says that. And it's like, oh yeah. And then they just move on. And it's like, yeah.
They move on like, oh yeah, that's right. Anyway.
And you have to do it this way, I think, because there's so much else happening in this story. Like there's not just time travel, there's space travel, there's superheroes from fantasy world that come to the real world. Like you have all this stuff. Just barrel past a lot of it, honestly.
Actually wasn't even a fantasy world. It's a different reality altogether this time.
Yeah.
This entire time. That's a big reveal, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
So Jupiter's Legacy is just an adjacent parallel world. That's really it. Yeah.
And again, I think he was smart to kind of do it the way he did it, where some of the, because if you just went all of this stuff is connected in the one world, it doesn't work the same way. So by taking the ones that kind of have those plot holes in them, like Jupiter's Legacy, for example, you just go, oh, it's in a sideways, like an alternate reality, but we'll bring them over for this. Everything is now tied in, everyone's all together, and it makes sense in the context of the world that he's built. I think that is clever.
Well, now we're
like that.
Jumping into the 5th issue. You guys already kind of started a little bit. The first 4 issues,
our toes in there a little bit. It's tiny bit.
The first 4 issues, all the big bad are killing all of the big good. And in the 5th issue, Hit Girl does time travel stuff, goes back 3 days before they start killing all the big good, and starts telling them that they're about to be killed. And you get to like, that whole 5th issue is just like you going back through all of these like moments where all these superheroes got killed, and them like reversing the tide on the bad guys.
Yeah, just a classic reset to kind of get things back to where they need to be.
Like everything's so all of those like parts are so cool. There's like the one I specifically remember, like the Hucks running through the Antarctica with the polar bear. And they're like, he should be right here. We must have been like, we just must have to turn around 4 clicks south. And then all of a sudden he's like beating him up. There's the part with the holy water.
Like, what's up?
They're talking about like how they're going to kill the vampire nightclub people. And they're like, holy water. And then all of a sudden, like the vampires are killing the bad guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like,
just got them.
it's just like every single page is like them going back through those old like things and taking down the guys that took them down. And they still didn't explain the ambassadors part. So like I'm glad they didn't do that.
Yeah, and it's smart the way
I
he
don't think
did
they really
it.
need to anyway. They really need to.
No, and it's smart the way he did it, even for himself. You know, just thinking that way of he killed a lot of characters, but he also brought them back at the end, and now he can just make more sequels to these books that people now
That's the
probably
point.
now know about. Like I know about all of these characters I didn't know about until I read this, and now there's probably going to be like a whole new list of sequels for each of these guys.
Especially like because like I think like a good like 75% of these only had like a 5 to 6 issue run.
It seems that way, yeah. Like I think Superior 7, Nemesis, both versions are only like 5 or 6, and I know obviously Mark Millar, his approach to like his business is not just I'm writing comics, it's I'm writing properties that then can be adapted into other things. You know, he's got MillarWorld is owned by Netflix as far as the film and the TV production stuff. They're not really doing that much with it, which isn't his fault, and I'm sure he's a little frustrated about, but I think ultimately his plan of rebooting Nemesis, of doing this big game, of doing all this stuff, is he's trying to get his cinematic universe stuff on track. I think that is his ultimate goal.
I'll say this personally, on this Netflix thing, they should. I want them to stick more to between either a miniseries or a straight up anime, because when I see them in that form, it really does work very well. I like it.
Yeah, and I
personally like it more.
I think stylistically, given the kind of craziness that happens in these stories, that's a good approach. I know I haven't seen Super Crooks, but I know people really enjoyed that. I am in the minority where I enjoyed what Jupiter's Legacy was doing.
I liked it.
Yeah.
I actually liked that one.
I did too, but one thing I will say about that show is it did not have the budget that it needed to do the stuff it was trying to do.
It definitely didn't.
I think the only reason I enjoyed it as much as I did is because of the characters and also just the casting. Like I think Josh Duhamel was actually a good pick for the Utopian and everything. But I think you're right, because they canceled Jupiter's Legacy after one season. So I think I think you're right. I think you bring it back, and do new things. Do it animated, because the thing is, with this comic, everything that's happening, you would need so much money to even come close to doing this in live action and doing it well. But if you do it animated, obviously you still need a lot of talent and a lot of money, but you're not going to need as much money. And
nowhere near as much.
Yeah,
no.
And you know, the superhero bubble, like this kind of genre, it's not. I don't think it'll ever burst or go away, but it's definitely, the hype has been dying down, and the return has not been what it's been. I mean, you look at Marvel and DC struggling.
The problem is we're in a era of diminishing returns for that stuff.
100%.
Diminishing returns. Like okay, the most popular ones right now that people actually are watching is all streaming, which is The Boys.
Yeah, The Boys. Yeah,
straight up.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Which we'll talk about Invincible season 2 later. Don't worry about that.
Don't you fret none. Yeah, and I mean, The Boys has been doing really well, and I think in the case of that one and why it works as well as it does is it's live action, but it's also, now it's two things. It's like the Gen V spinoff, but it's in its own kind of contained world. Yeah. But if you're going to do like Invincible level stuff, which is what a lot of this Mark Millar stuff is in big game is you're talking like time, space travel, like multiple different superhero teams, like all this and that. Animation is probably the way that he needs to go. And to keep it consistent, and also to keep it tied in well. Like I think they're apparently doing Kick-Ass again, and it might be a live action series, but if I were them, I would just build off the animation side.
I really don't.
Yeah, same.
That's the part that I like.
Yeah, and also like we've seen Kick-Ass, and like I like that first one. The second one is whatever.
The second one's good too.
Yeah, I don't.
The second one's not bad. It's just like
The thing I think they did wrong with Kick-Ass 2 is that Kick-Ass 1 was the comic book, and they nailed it. Kick-Ass 2, they had to work in Hit Girl and Kick-Ass 2 and try to come up with something.
Yeah.
Where like they could do a thing, and it didn't follow the comics as well as it could have. I think producers and stuff like that came into the second one. They were like, this is big. People really like this first one. let me do something that we think that these people might like more.
Yes.
And that's the same thing that happened with like with video games where they do like the games of service where we want to live forever, and they screwed it up because they wanted more money.
Yeah, you're only chasing the dollar, and so you don't really get any kind of quality control or thought put into it. So, I mean, the reason like these franchises that we have now, like Marvel and DC and all this, the reason they make the big money that they have been making is because they didn't originally, you know? It was more like we put money into it, we put talent into it, and we cared about the stories first and foremost, and the popularity built because of the quality. And now, I know, you know, they're a business at the end of the day. They want to make their dollar and make as much of it as they can. But I think if they want the universe stuff to work, which is what they want that long-term investment to pay off of, we're doing all these properties, they're all connected, you all love it. I think in the case of this MillarWorld stuff, animation is your best bet to kind of get that longevity. One, because casting-wise, it's a lot easier to do a Hit Girl, you know, series or Kick-Ass series with Hit Girl in it for multiple years if you can keep her the age that she needs to be. Whereas that's the problem with Kick-Ass 2 even is Chloe Grace Moretz is
obvious.
She's old.
Yeah.
She's not 13 years old anymore.
Yeah, I mean, she's like probably in her 20s or whatever.
No. No.
So do it animation-wise, though, that takes a lot of that, you know, out of the equation. And again, you start out with something ground level, like even Wanted at its core is more ground level than any of this other stuff. And Kick-Ass is obviously very grounded in the beginning. But the goal is going to be to build to, like, you know, your Hucks, your superiors. If you want to do that and transition all these characters together and do it well, animation is probably the way that you need to approach it, because otherwise you're going to have to blow up that budget for live action to get it to remotely look right.
To get the CGI and stuff in there.
Yeah, and also
not to mention you have to be,
go ahead.
But you also be like, it's be like also there's a big one for a lot of comic fans. You have to be as loyal as you can to the source material. That's the big one. You have to be loyal to it.
Yeah,
that's the
thing. You gotta commit.
Yes, it is a commitment. I mean, and I even stylistically, like, I think again some of the panels in this, the way that they work so well, is because it's got that look, its own personality, its own look. Like I think about again Superior being killed, this beautiful imagery there, but also just good feeling imagery from the moment of where Kick-Ass gets superpowers and he's flying off to save the day. I only read Kick-Ass 1.
That's my favorite panel, whole book, by the way.
Yeah.
It's my favorite panel, straight up.
And I think that means something where, you know, you've obviously read a lot of this stuff. Kick-Ass is a big thing that you kind of kept up with. I've only read the first volume, though, and I got the same kind of feeling of, yeah, good for that guy. Good that he gets this moment.
He gets his ass kicked so many times. His name's Kick-Ass, and he gets the opposite of his name so many times in all of his books.
Yeah.
So much.
I don't think he's, like, as far as ass kicked to kicked ass, he's definitely like 25 to 75%.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's nice to see that he can finally kick ass like he says he is. The only shitty part is now he has to be called America.
Yeah, but oh well. That's the only downfall. But okay, you know what? Hey, he finally made it. He finally made it. Finally.
Yeah,
finally made it.
I wish they could have let him keep his like sticks and his uniform, but they put him in an American flag.
I like it. They made like I'm about to say keep the uniform. You can just change like to a American color. That'd have been it. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I've been alright with that.
He's got the.
Come on, that suit's kind of iconic now. I was like, it is kind of iconic. Come on.
Yeah. Well,
give him something.
He at least has the open mask, so he can show off that great hair.
Yeah, I got that at least.
Yeah. And you know, again, it's that moment itself of just like he did this. He was the first one to do this, even though he didn't have it easy. He didn't have powers, and he wasn't good at what he was doing, but he was going out there and doing it. He kicked all this off, and now he's literally the guy representing his country.
Yeah.
Like, that's just...
And you know what? I'll give him some credit, too. Even though he got his ass kicked, as we said many times, he did win his fights.
Yes.
He did win his fights, but it was after he got, like three...
Yeah, I know.
3 metal plates put in his head so he couldn't feel the injuries.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't know if it's just the... What's it called? The Marvel, like, slump that I'm, like, feeling. But...
Yeah.
Everything...
Slump, trust me.
I love... I love everything that we read out of Image. It just feels refreshing, even if it is superheroes.
Yeah.
And I think he's kind of like buying off of that, basically.
Well, I think it's just going the way that it originally, like the movies and the TV shows and kind of the trajectory it's on. It's all following the same trend that comics did when they did it first. I mean, multiverse stuff is where we're at now, and people are already kind of getting sick of it. And which
we're getting sick of it big time.
Yeah, and that's what happened with comics. I mean, they mentioned Crisis on Infinite. They mentioned Crisis on Infinite Earths in this. Well, the reason that comic even exists is because in DC at the time, there were so many multiverses and people were getting so sick of keeping up with all this and this Superman does that, but also read this one. They were sick of it and numbers started to drop. So then they created this event which wiped everything.
Killed everything.
And reset the status quo to then hopefully drive numbers back up. The movies
is that what made DC Rebirth?
That was just another instance of that, yes. DC does a reboot, like they'll do it every 10 years, and then every 5 years. Now it's like...
Yeah, they do.
Eventually we'll get one like once a week. It's just...
me and Snoop did a podcast about the Rebirth comics.
Yeah, back in the day when they started, yeah.
We used to do a weekly weekly podcast, which we just couldn't keep up.
It's exhausting. Couldn't do it now. We're too old for that.
Yeah. We're all too old, man.
Too many beard hairs to keep up with all that.
Yeah.
Got my grays, trust me. I'm grays already.
I got this one right here.
Just that one though, right?
Yeah, just that one.
Yeah,
really? What thing I'm shaving for, man? I had them grays. Oh hell no, I can get rid of that shit. Like, nah, fuck that. Nah.
No, you gotta embrace it, man. Gotta make it your own.
It's like, I'm a little gray. It was like, okay, that's too much now. Hold on.
You want it to the point where you look distinguished, but not old. That's a tough balance to hit. And this is
it is.
This comic was a tough balance, but I think overall he struck it really well. Again, having so much stuff in this, I didn't know how it was gonna go. I mean, all I knew is what you told me about it when you picked it. And I had read some of I read Wanted, I read Jupiter's Legacy, I read the Kick-Ass stuff. Like that's it. And even the concept of all of those things coming together seemed like, I don't know if this will work or I don't know if I'll enjoy this, but I had a fun time with this. I think it has
good.
I think it has like things I don't love about certain dialogue and writing but again, considering all the elements to juggle, all the characters to give a moment to, I think he did a really good job here.
Yeah. I'm going to say some words right now. I hope you guys enjoy them.
Well, if we don't,
I'm gonna ask you guys to give me your favorite scene. I know we already talked about it a little bit, but just throw me your favorite panel.
Can you kick us off so you kind of set the tone?
My favorite panel.
Yeah.
All right. My favorite panel was when Kick-Ass or Hit Girl goes back in time and that lady cuts that dinosaur's head off. That was probably my favorite panel.
Oh, yeah. I know you mean. Yeah.
I think that was my favorite panel of the whole thing, because I have no idea who those people are.
But you just know, like, this is fun. Dinosaurs
just like
are here.
Dinosaurs are here, but there's also, like, crazy stuff.
Yeah. Art-wise, my favorite panel is probably where Superior gets killed. Flowers in the wheelchair. It's poignant.
Yeah.
But that being said...
It is a cool panel, though. It was pretty badass.
That being said, I think just the one I had a big smile on my face is and we talked about it a little already, is after they go back in time and Huck gets the drop on the jets that killed him. He rips off the cockpit of one of them, and in the next page it's just a panel of Huck saying that's not very nice, and also the polar bear is in the backpack,
just like hanging out.
Yeah, and I don't know if he's like giving him the finger or if he's getting, but just the polar bear looking at him right before they get messed up. That's so much about that character, and I want to read that story just for those little moments with him and that polar bear.
Huck's actually really good. I don't know why I read it way back in the day, but
yeah.
I remember I read I didn't read the whole thing. I read a little bit. I like what I saw though. I keep saying it's wholesome as hell. It really is super wholesome.
Yeah, it really is. So I think that would definitely be my takeaway from this whole thing. Is that's my go-to. I love that little polar bear in a backpack. What about you, Saul? What are you thinking?
Hands down, like I said before, like there's a lot of good scenes in this. By the way, a whole lot of good scenes.
Yeah, no,
especially the final issue. Oh my god, so much good action on that one. But my favorite scene is, I don't know, it just makes me happy. It's two of them basically combined together. It's the scene where I mentioned before, Dave Lewinsky, without the mask, is kick-ass. He's talking to a woman from the Magic Order, and she actually empowers. Like, okay, Dave, you've earned this. He's like, oh shit! And he's flying like a fool.
He's flying.
Yeah, he takes
the biggest smile on his face. I'm like, my man.
Yeah, he takes the Superman pose when he takes flight. Yeah.
Yes, a full-on Superman pose. I love it.
It's like fist out, all that.
Yeah,
all fist out. I'm like, you living the dream, motherfucker. You living the dream.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's probably the most earned moment in this whole story.
Oh hell
100%.
yeah, it's very earned.
Yes. It's just this is a good. If you like this stuff, if you like superhero comics, you like just kind of the messages it brings and the feelings you get when you read them. This is a really good version of all of that. I think it has its tropes, but it delivers them in a way that you're like, oh yeah, this is why I got into this stuff in the first place.
That's why I like comic books.
Yeah. So yeah, all really good. All good.
That being said, we're gonna throw it to I don't know how much of you've listened to us or not, Soul, but we like to do a rating. It doesn't have to be numbers. It's just a random thing.
I think it's kick us off and give an example.
I'll give you an example of like what we do. I really have to think about it, so Snoop will edit this out. He always does. So I'm expecting him to do it now.
Just between me and Soul, I don't always do it, but that's just between you and me. So
what I think is that I like to do 42 big games.
Oh,
and obviously that means 9.5 stars.
Yes,
out of an amount of stars.
How many times did they cut to Taylor Swift during those big games?
24 actually.
Oh, okay. So
I didn't watch the game, but I saw some glow clips. I'm like, God damn, guys.
They got to make that Super Bowl money somehow.
But
I
yeah,
guess.
42 big games.
Yeah,
that's a pretty good. One of the best scores I've ever given. Actually, I've never given a 10-star, but we also haven't read Sandman on the podcast yet. So
absolute 10 out of 10. Yeah. All right. Well, that's a good review. I guess I'll step in as the other co-host and give my rating. Talked about all the reasons I like it. Talked about some of the things I don't, but that did not take away from my enjoyment at all. So I am going to download 3 powers and give one of them to each of you.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
a power each.
That roughly equates to like a 8.5 out of 10.
Okay.
If you wanted a more kind of traditional rating, but yeah, I had a really good time with this. So yeah, Soul, what are you rating this book?
I was thinking close to what you were thinking, which is about close to 8.5, but I'm gonna bump it up slightly only because, again, the ending of it I really fucking like. That helped a whole lot. I'm gonna give it. I was gonna 8.5 first. I'm bumping it to a 9.
Hell yeah.
Oh,
very good.
A 9.
Good.
The only reason I wouldn't give a full 10 is because, again, it's the backlog you got to go through. Oh my god.
Yeah, 200.
Fuck that. I'm sorry. Fuck that. No. I'm not doing all that. No.
They have a picture of the MillarWorld reading order with all the books.
Yeah, I saw that.
It is the most overwhelming thing in this comic.
Yes,
it's big.
I saw like 70 superheroes and supervillains on one page at one point, but even that was a lot easier to take in than how many books I would have to read before this. So yeah, no, that is. But yes, I would agree with that 9 out of 10 rating you gave it. I think this is just. Mark Millar is good at what he does. He might not be the best, but he is good at what he does, and this is no exception to that at all. So. Good stuff all around.
Banana. Readings for squares. I saw the look in your eyes earlier when we were talking about Invincible Season 2. If you want to talk about that real quick, that's what I've been watching recently. I'm only like 3 episodes in, but I'm loving it.
Well, Higgins, it's good because there's only like 3 or 4 episodes to watch in Season 2, so you're on track.
Yeah, then it's like I think it's gonna be like probably like I think it's gonna be like 8 or 10 episodes for the whole entire season, something like that.
Yeah, it's about to come back. I think in early March. It'll do the back half. Yeah, but I think there's 4 out of Season 2 right now.
Well, basically Season 2 because I actually did read the Invincible comic, all of it.
Oh, nice.
Before even the announced show, I already knew about Invincible. Already knew.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, I'm big Invincible fan. But I won't spoil. No spoilers here, guys.
No spoilers.
I won't say anything for that. But
because I am watching
really
it.
Super light.
I'm like 2 or 3 episodes in.
I'm only saying what the commercial show because I'm just giving some context. So what I saw in the trailer was they're covering the little arc that Mark had where he was supposed to be off planet for only like maybe a couple of weeks, and it turned into I won't say how long, but definitely some months.
Yeah.
Okay, it's supposed to be 2 weeks. Nah.
Yeah.
nah.
Yeah.
Nah, bro. Nah. He waiting. He gonna be on that planet for a little bit.
Well, I am caught up to where they stopped before the midseason break, so I know kind of the context behind why he's probably going to be there longer than he thought. But even like going in, as far as starting that storyline, he's
Well,
like,
even the Adam Eve like mid one season 2 kind of like her like
special
intro thing.
Yeah, the special.
Yeah.
See,
That's
that
like
was
a
like
special,
super
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, well, it's that's what we've been talking about is big comic book worlds and universes, and this is the same thing. It's just if you know enough about superheroes, like you've read your Superman, you've done your basic homework of your Batmans, your Supermans, whatever. This is just taking those similar elements and making it your own thing. This is written by Robert Kirkman, who people know wrote The Walking Dead, and is now basically just turning everything he makes into a TV show. And this is his other big property, and I love Invincible. I think
this was really good. It's very good.
And what I like about it is the appeal it has to people who don't read comics. I recently got a friend of mine to check it out. I was like, just watch the first episode. I gave him a basic premise, but I was like, just watch the first episode, and by the end, you'll know if you want to keep going with it. And he's already on season 2, and he started it like last week.
Not even just like comic books in general, but like animation. I feel like it like brings people in that don't like to watch cartoons. I'm doing air quotes. Most people, if they see an animation,
we can actually see that now.
Yeah, now we can.
Wow.
You see it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do it a couple more times.
Normally we just hear it, but yeah.
Literally, most people I like talk to, they're like, "Oh, it's a cartoon. I'm not gonna watch that. I'm not a child. This is don't show this show to your children."
No, probably not. It's probably not for the best for them.
Don't show this show to your children.
Like, no, unless they're like a teen, ain't no goddamn way showing no kid.
Yeah,
ain't no goddamn way.
Yes, and I think very much that is the intention behind that first episode. The way it is cut. Again, I don't want to spoil anything, but just watch the first episode, and you'll get a sense of why people are really on board with this one. And also, like, just the talent behind it is really, really great. I mean, you have Steven Yeun, who he was Glenn on The Walking Dead, and now he voices the character of Mark Grayson.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you have J.K. Simmons, who plays his dad, who is Omni-Man, just Superman with a mustache, looking real good. And like even the side characters are really good in this. I don't remember her name in the show, but the one who plays Mark's mom and the wife, like
her, yeah.
I think Sandra Oh is the one who voices her.
Yeah,
from Killing Eve.
Something like that.
Yes, from Killing
Grey's Anatomy.
Killing Eve's own Higgins, if you could believe it.
Yeah, there you go. Killing Eve lady.
Yeah.
The Killing Eve lady. There you go. Yeah. I wish I did watch some of Killing Eve.
Yeah, she's great.
I will say this because they did several changes in the show, especially. I mean, number one is Mark's ethnicity eventually, because he's straight up white in the comic. Straight up white.
Yes.
They changed that entirely.
Oh, they made
I don't mind that. It works. It works very well.
Yeah.
I think they did a really good, because they do that with a lot of characters. I think basically the character who's his MJ in this.
Adam Eve?
Yeah.
Oh, Amber?
No,
Amber. Oh, you mean
Amber.
Okay.
Yeah, Amber, the character of Amber's girlfriend, she's white in the original comic, I believe. Like,
okay.
Yeah, she's white as hell. White and blonde. White and blonde.
Yes, the character of
so they made her black.
Rex
And,
Splode.
Yep. You're black.
Yes.
Totally different character. She's basically a different character altogether.
Well,
straight up.
and essentially all they did, because it seems, I know this for the case of the character of Rex Splode, they gave them the ethnicity of the actor playing them. And
okay, that's cool.
I was surprised.
Yeah,
I was so surprised by that one. I was like, really? Okay.
Yeah, but when I picked up on that, because Jason, what is his name? Mantzoukas?
Jason Mantzoukas.
Mantzoukas. He plays the character of Rex Splode, and the same thing. It's just like, oh yeah, that's what he would, if he was this guy in live action, that's what he would be. And it's such a little
Australian?
thing.
Right.
I don't think he's Australian in the show.
I have no idea.
But it's just a little thing.
I know he's in Big Mouth. I know he's in Big Mouth.
Yes, he is in
He's
Big
in Big
Mouth.
Mouth
Yeah.
in the league.
But yeah, it's just it's such an obvious change that you would make, and it only upsets a very minor group of people, but those people don't matter,
Those
so
people
it's
don't
fine.
matter. Not in my mind.
And also,
That's my answer to that.
yeah,
There you go.
And it's not important at all. All that matters is the character that doing the things that they should be doing in the context of the story. None of that other stuff matters, and I'm glad that that's the point we've gotten to.
Plus in the comic, Rex Explode acts exactly like that. He is an asshole. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank goodness.
That's exactly right. Yeah. You got it right.
The core of the character is the same. And even then, that stuff can change for the better too. They do that in other adaptations of this character maybe doesn't work as well as either works better if we change it or doesn't work well for the kind of the modern context. Now, let's tweak some things. But this show, as far as, I don't know, you've read the comic.
Yeah.
I know The Walking Dead with the show, it deviates pretty hard from the comic. Is there?
Yeah, it does. It really does.
Is it similar?
I read the comic version too, by the way. Yeah.
Okay.
It deviates pretty hard.
So is Invincible very similar? Is it taking hard deviations, or are they sticking pretty close?
The biggest one is how long it takes for Omni-Man to reveal himself as a bad guy.
Okay.
Well, not really a bad guy, but you know what I mean. He's a conqueror. You know what I mean.
Yeah. And that even changed. I know this. Go ahead.
I say because in the comic version of that, it happens a lot sooner than you think. This happened not in the first issue, but probably in the next 5 to 10 issues, something like that.
It's one of those things where but the audience doesn't know, or the characters don't know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, so I know that,
and that's one of those things where it doesn't work good on TV if you tell me that beforehand.
Well, and that's the thing is that reveal. And obviously we're in spoilers for this too, but that reveal of Omni-Man
this is the first season of Invincible.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Yeah, it's first season. Fuck it. Go on, say it.
Statute of limitations is passed, yeah. But that reveal of him being he's from another planet and his job is actually to conquer Earth and all this and that, and he kills their version of the Justice League. That originally wasn't going to happen in the comic as soon as it did either. Apparently that was an editor's note from to Robert Kirkman. That was always the plan. But he was going to stretch that out for 20 or 30 issues, and numbers for the comic weren't doing well early on. I think they're doing okay, but he was just hey, we need to if you want this to continue, we need to bump this reveal up. And it is a good call to do that as early as possible, because I think the way that any of this stuff works, where you have, this is just a different version of a DC world or a Marvel world made by different people. If you're going to do, we have a Superman character, we have a Green Lantern character, if you're going to do all that, you've got to throw something in to make it your own thing.
You got to make a twist of some sort.
Yeah.
Make some sort of twist.
Yeah, and even that concept of the evil Superman character, that's kind of, that well has been wrung dry pretty recently. But as long as it's a good version of that, which I think for them with this one, the way they kind of make it work for them and make it interesting is it's the main character, it's his dad is the evil Superman character. And you have that element of I've got to punch my dad, but also he's going to beat the shit out of me.
Plus it gets more complicated too, because you can see Nolan, that's his name, Omni-Man, Nolan. You can see during it, you can see he's conflicted. He wants to do what people are supposed to do, but he actually really does fucking love his son.
Yes.
He loves him.
Yeah.
Big time.
And I like what they've kind of done carrying it into this new season of he does, we knew that kind of from the last season, he cares about his kid. That's why he kind of doesn't follow through and then dips out. But he's not a good guy. And
no, he's not. He's not a good guy.
And that's so interesting because one, you have the character of Mark who's struggling with this was my dad who raised me, and I do love him because he's my father, but I'm struggling with the fact he's done what he's done, and also he almost killed me, so I'm a little angry about that. But they're trying to show this character, the character of Nolan, in a way where it's maybe he does kind of have a redemption arc in him, though, because he might not care that much about himself or other people, but he at least cares about his son. And I think that I think that's just doing something for me to kind of continue that.
I'm glad the show got that through to people, because I was hoping I wasn't quite sure what direction I'm going to go with it with this version of it. I was okay, I don't know what I'm going to deal with this, because this is a little bit different than what I was used to in the comic. But I mean, it's still about the same stuff. So
yeah,
bravo. You know what I mean?
Does he?
I mean, dude, they got Battle Beast in the fucking in the show.
I love Battle Beast.
Much later in the comic, by the way. But oh my god, they got him perfectly. That was perfect.
I like the
They nailed that right.
Yes, and what I also like about this version of again, kind of doing those DC, parallels and Marvel parallels. I've read a lot of this stuff, even if I haven't read all the stories. I've at least like read up on a lot of the characters, and so they don't hold back at all. Where it's like, oh, Battle Beast is just like this version's of like Dark Side character, that fourth world kind of
Actually,
Kirby
he's
stuff.
closer to like Lobo.
Oh, Lobo would make sense. Yeah, yeah, and
he's more close to Lobo.
I could see that. Yeah, and I like how there's like, even though Mark is a really powerful superhero, like he kind of got the Superman powers, he's a noob, and also even if he was as good as his dad, there are characters out there who are very, very dangerous to him, and so
the show just is actually a reason why Mark doesn't seem to be as strong as that, which is a very simple reason. He's not as old.
Okay, yeah.
That's true. Because like if you actually look at some of the what do you call them, Viltrumites, if you notice, the really strong ones are old.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, okay.
If you notice that, they're all old. Every single one of them. Yep.
And
they're all like either graying up of some sort, or they have like some kind of streaks in their hair. But yeah, virtually every single one of them. Like, so what they're trying to tell us is, so Viltrumites, they live a long fucking time, okay? They say in the show as well. They live a real long time. And the trick with them is, when they start off, they're going to be, maybe like, they're pretty strong, yeah, but not like Superman level, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not quite. Not there yet.
Yeah.
When you get to like level, think of their age as like a level. So Marcus level probably what, 18, 19, something like that? That's his level.
Okay.
Think like that way. So Nolan has to be like 50, right?
Yeah.
Nolan's been probably 50 years old, so he's level 50. Get it? There you go. That's why he's so goddamn strong.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So like Mark is basically Mark is Charmeleon and his dad is Charizard.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Yep.
How about that?
Yeah. And
so he's strong. Yeah. I mean, if you talk about like basic shit, sure. Anything stronger, like, oh boy, you better be fucking smart, kid.
Yes. Yeah. and there's stakes to all of the action sequences that happen in this.
There's a lot of
like,
stakes. Oh my god. Jesus.
It's brutal.
So much stakes.
Yeah. And again, I think like the reason this is working so well is because it's animated. Because considering what crazy stuff happens in that comic and how they're kind of trying to stick to that as much as they can, it seems.
Yeah.
There's a lot of violence. There's a lot of gore. It's definitely not a show for kids. You're not going to make
honestly,
that.
I'll tell people like who are not used to because I know for a fact, folks, a lot of people didn't read the comic. Like some folks read the comic like me, some folks didn't. This is no spoiler at all. I can say this right now. It starts off like a superhero series, and then becomes an epic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So get ready for that.
Yeah. Yeah. I've read a little bit about kind of some of the stuff they go into, and it sounds wild. Like just again, like they're similar to the Miller stuff we talked about already, where it's going through everything. It's going through your different dimensions, your multiverses, and
all that shit. Yes.
Like time travel, space travel, like and I really like all that stuff. I like that they're able to kind of really flesh out something outside of just one planet, and of course you would, because it's like, well, there's superpowers. Yeah, why stay on Earth? Let's go somewhere else. Let's see what weird stuff we can find. So I really like the angle that they've gone for this new season, and I am glad that it's with Amazon, because the only reason it would get canceled is just because they don't want to do it. But also Amazon has so much money that they're not as worried about, like, they don't seem like Netflix, where it's like, oh, this didn't do X amount of numbers, so let's just cancel it. They just seem like they'll just make anything forever if they really want to.
They really want to, yeah.
And that's honestly the opposite. I saw this thing about Netflix where they cancel shows because they're too popular and they're taking away like views from the other shows.
Yeah,
that's dumb.
Well,
that's dumb.
It's also this
dumb.
diminishing returns kind of mindset of, okay, because how they make their money is people sign up. Well, you've gotten all the subscribers you can off of the first 2 seasons of a show, mostly. It's very rare for someone to come in and subscribe specifically for season 3 or 4 of a thing. So they're like, why put money in this that's not going to get us more customers? So that's why they're always just doing, 1 to 2 seasons, cancel. Also, a shitty thing that they do is because of how all these rules and unions and whatever contracts work, after about 3 seasons, those actors are usually more popular and in more demand. So you have to pay them more.
Oh, yeah.
So you just cancel the show, so you don't have to pay their higher rate.
Cancel the show, yeah.
So, but Amazon doesn't really seem to kind of, at least for now, they don't because this is just like a side biz for them, honestly. They could shut down their entire film division and be perfectly fine. But because of that, they have this subscription mentality of like, yeah, we'll just start a movie division and then like someone will run it. We don't really know. We don't pay attention to it at all. It'll just keep going forever. Like they pumped $1 billion into Lord of the Rings for no reason, and I'm.
Oh God! Don't remind me.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
Jesus.
I imagine it'll get another
for me.
season.
That was a nightmare.
So it. And
I couldn't sit through that. I couldn't sit through it. Couldn't do it.
I
said through two. I'll tell you right now. I said about 2 to 3 episodes of that. The moment I saw the ninja black elf, I was out. You know what I'm talking about.
I do know what you're talking about.
As soon as I saw ninja black elf, I'm like, okay, I'm out. I gotta go. I gotta go now.
That's funny.
That being said, if they want to just keep putting $1 billion into this, it's not my money, so yeah, do it. I don't care. That's funny though. But I think Invincible. It sounds like Robert Kirkman, because I think they just renewed it for seasons 4 and 5 already. They've been renewing it.
Good.
The way they've done Invincible is they've renewed it 2 seasons at a time. So
They already had 3?
yeah. So well, season 1 came out, and then they're like, okay,
2 and 3.
2 and 3 will do for sure. And then I think halfway through season 2 now they're like, and we'll do 4 and 5. So I know that the comic's long, but I don't imagine they'll need more than like 7 to 8 seasons max to kind of do everything.
Well, the comic's not super long. It's actually like 100 something issues, and that's it. It's not super long.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
I love that.
So I
It's
think
about 100 something issues. That's it. I think it's like 120, 30. I gotta look it up later. But yeah, it's not that long. It really isn't.
not.
That's perfect.
I'm gonna take a stab and say it's 144 issues. And if
It's probably close.
And if I get
Sounds
that
about right.
if I get that right, you all owe me a thing of Jim Beam.
Snickers.
Oh no, I want the Jim Beam.
All right.
I'm in a Jim Beam mood.
Or Jim Beam.
Yeah, but if I get it wrong, then I owe each of you 144 glasses of Jim Beam. So.
Oh, okay.
Hell
That's
yeah.
good.
I'm okay with that.
All right. Well, good. Like I'm glad we're all watching that. We're all liking it. Higgins, you're almost caught up. Keep doing that. Don't do what you normally do and stop watching it.
Yeah, I'll watch something,
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah. You already give up on Breaking Bad.
I haven't watched in a while.
Higgins has.
I've watched the first 3 seasons of Breaking Bad 3 times now.
Yep. And I
Never finished the show though.
And I followed up
Never
every time.
finished it?
No,
Never finished it.
because
Finish it.
well, I followed up with multiple times and go, why don't you just start at season 4 since you've seen the first 3 multiple times? And
I
he
mean,
goes,
my dude, I watched that show since the beginning. I finished that shit. Right spot. I don't care.
I I'm really bad at taking in media. That's what it is.
That is the one I would say very, very, very bendable. Dude, you can. Oh my God.
I'll finish
You can
it. I'll finish it just for you,
watch shit out of that
SoulStar.
easily.
Higgins, he's frustrated with you. He
I'll
doesn't know
finish
what
it.
you're doing.
I'll finish
I know. It's
it.
like, what do I say?
There's nothing you can do. It's not on you. It's on him. Don't.
I know, but still, I'm like, my dude, it's not that hard.
It's really not. But cool. All right. Well, there's nothing.
We'll do our things. I don't know if you've listened to us, but we normally do a little bit of a sign off. I don't know if you have that on your show.
Nothing special.
Snoop has a couple things he always says at the end of our podcast.
Just go and say it. Go and say it.
I do, of course, and I remember all of those. But first off, that all being said, I want to just go ahead and say thank you to Soul here for joining us on the show. It's been a really, really fun time, actually.
Yeah.
Even got us to add a video element in. We didn't think we'd ever do that. So again, thank you for wanting to do this with us. We've never done a show with a YouTube celebrity man like yourself.
I know.
So this is a big day. Big day for us.
Sure, yeah, celebrity, yeah, we'll say that. Yeah.
More than us. More than us.
100%. Hey, you're no slouch. I've seen your subscribers. You got way more than people. People watch your stuff. Some people that mostly related to us listen to our show. So yeah, again, give yourself.
I mean, it's related. It's close.
But
It's not far off.
But no, seriously, thank you for joining us. I will,
Yeah,
of
it's been
course,
fun.
I will leave a description to your channel in this podcast description, so people can check you out if they'd like that. Again, watch those Transformers comics reviews. Are you still doing those? Or can we get one soon?
I can do another one because they just released a third one.
Oh, nice.
It wouldn't take me long to finish that.
Yeah, think about it. Like I said, I'm having a really good time because
I don't mind. I mean, like, if folks really want me to do it, say it right now. I'll go on and do some more. Like, I know it's like a third one. I think a fourth one's coming out pretty soon.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll do it again. I don't mind.
All right.
They're
Well,
fun.
they are fun, and it's fun watching you review them. And if anyone watching this wants him to do more of those reviews, you can let me and Higgins know that. We have a email that you can write into.
Oh yeah, we an email. It's thecomixologyclub at gmail.com.
No,
No,
you can do this.
the comixologyclub at 0-8studios.com.
There it is. He gets it. He gets it on the
Sorry.
second time every time. It's just
It's really hard.
100%
It's
strike
the
rate.
drinks that
Yeah.
really throw me off.
So yes, you can let us know if
Sure
you're-
it is.
Yeah. You can let us know
It's also
if
just
you
my
want.
brain.
Yeah, that's probably mostly what it is. Yeah, the brain. But yeah, let us know if one, you want SoulStar to do some things. We'll pass the message along. Tell them thank you for being on the show, and tell us what you want us to read next time. We're actually doing. We're gonna have another guest, big gun guest, beginning of the year. We had the two brothers last month, Ethan and Zach, do a Star Wars with us. We had Soul do an episode on Big Game this month. Next month, we're going to read
Batman 89.
Batman 89. Which,
Oh, that's a good one. That's
yeah,
a good one.
we
That's,
got
that's definitely a good one.
nice.
Yeah.
I'm happy to
Read it.
hear it. Our friend, a friend of ours, Dylan, is going to join us on that, and he picked it. So we're gonna see what Michael Keaton's Batman has been up to in the years following Batman Returns. You know?
That's what
He's
that's what I want to know.
He's doing some shit. Just say we'll say that.
Yeah.
Doing
All
some
right.
shit.
Yeah. Is it? I hope it's weird and like Tim Burton 80s neo gothic horror still. Like that's really all I want from that universe. So okay.
Not far off. Not far off.
I can
You
handle
might
that.
might see a couple of celebrities in there.
Ooh.
I'm just saying.
Okay. Good. I love seeing a celebrity in a thing and going, I know that person.
I think you might recognize one.
Okay.
A couple at least. There's a couple of them in there.
Do you think I've just heard rumors. Do you think I would recognize half of a person in that story?
I would say if you don't recognize at least one of them, I'm gonna be really ashamed. I'm like, come on, man. If you've seen one of those movies, you should recognize the celebrity right away.
Okay. Well, you put a lot of pressure on me, which honestly I appreciate because I work well under
I'll be
that
disappointed if
pressure.
you don't figure it out. I'm like, come on, man. It's right there.
I'll leave if I recognize it or don't recognize it, I'll leave a comment on one of your videos so you can help me out or give me praise.
Fair enough.
But yes, so check us out.
I'm gonna make a new video like, it's right there, motherfucker. It's right there. God damn.
I'm happy to get the shout out, whatever it is.
And you can find me on the X, I guess.
I think it's just X now. They took out the.
Just just X.
Yeah.
I guess it's Twitter still too. You can still go on Twitter. Mike Higgins 93, and you can find me on Instagram at jstern93. You can find Snoop at Instagram on Snoop_Lynch.
That's it.
That's it.
I think.
And then you can find SoulStar Sketchin as SoulStar Sketchin ART on YouTube. And I don't know if you want to plug any other things that you do.
Let's see. I have a YouTube. No, I say YouTube. I have a Twitter. I have links. You can copy my links right from my videos. It's right there. All the links are right there, dude.
All right, so just it's just right in the YouTube then, and Snoop's gonna link that
right in YouTube,
right in our
there.
thing.
I'll slap on my face or something. I don't know.
All right, so Snoop will have those links
it's so
to
long,
your.
like it's just look down there. Damn it, they're
Yeah.
right there.
It's there.
He'll have them right there.
Just care a little bit and put in some of the work, and you'll
Do the
find them.
YouTube stuff.
Yeah.
Subscribe, like, comment. We're gonna be on YouTube too for the first time. My face.
Yeah, it's true.
Does it look good? Does it
No.
look good?
Hold on. Can you move a little bit to your right?
I see a little bit of Steve in
Hold
there.
on. Keep going. A little more. Oh, it looks great, Higgins.
There you go. It's perfect.
That
Now.
looks
Oh, dang.
fantastic. Yeah, love that.
They made fun of me because I look disgusting.
Higgins, no, we made Higgins. We made fun with you. Okay, we're all in this together. But we will call that. SoulStar is a busy man. He's got things to do, YouTube videos to make, and whatever else he does with his life.
Special errands, blah blah blah.
Yeah, just the usual. But we appreciate you getting on the show with us. We'd love to do it again sometime because big fun. But join Higgins and I and our friend Dylan next month for that Batman book. Keep an eye out for what Soul's doing. And I always at the end of every episode I say cheers, guys. And I also remind Higgins He needs to get an egg in him. It's a little
I
inside
always
joke.
get that egg in me.
I don't even remember what it's from, but it's a thing that I've committed to for whatever reason.
One of the episodes recently.
Do I want to know? I don't want to know.
I don't know if I want to know, to be honest. Yeah.
I don't want the context.
I get that egg in me. Don't worry.
I'm sure
Don't
it's
tell me.
I'm sure it's wholesome.
Do you have a sign off that
Sure
you
it
normally
is.
do?
Yeah. Soul, what would you like to say to end your time on the show here?
I will say, first off, listen to these guys' podcasts. Also, a few of them, not bad at all. Very worth listening to.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, definitely. And I will also say, of course, obviously, the most obvious thing I have to say for any YouTube, please like, sub, share, subscribe.
Oh yeah, the YouTube things.
Yeah. Hit a bell icon, I think, is a thing that you can do.
I'll slap a bell icon. Like, me and editing on this right now. I don't care if I cut this out or not. Slap that goddamn bell, okay? Right now. Just do it. Slap my face. I don't give a shit.
Just
whatever
do
you
it.
gotta do.
Just do it for him. He gave you content. Just do that one thing for him. All right. They will do that. I will do that. Higgins, what will you do to end your time on the show here?
I'm just gonna be like, game over. Continue. 1,
Perfect.
2, 3.